It is true, I do regret buying this watch. Not that the watch is not beautiful or well finished, the reason is actually the color. I debated between blue and green for a while, but I pulled the trigger on the wrong one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any reviews, head to head or quick time. And follow me on Instagram and come along with me on my watch collecting journey. Now, I don't hate green color. I actually have a lot of stuff that are green. My wallet is green, I have other watches that are green, I love Yoda. I have quite a few green shirts myself, and I love green herbs. They're good for your health. In fact, anything green is good for your health. But this green dial is just too dull, weighing down a really good and well finished watch. More on that in the dial section of this review. Despite that though, this watch did manage to climb up to be top 3 of my most worn watch this past few months, up there with the likes of the Hydro Conquest and the SLA 023. Link to those reviews in the description. So with that out of the way, let's get into the review of this watch. And as always, we will start with the case design. So the case design of this watch do harkens back to the 70s, with its flat and broad case design taking up much of the real estate on your wrist. In addition to that, the watch is composed of multiple facets. I can count up to 7 of it on this watch, each one finished to a high degree way beyond the price point. In fact, I would say that this watch is the best finished watch under $700. I haven't come across another watch with such fine brushing under $1,000. The top of the watch receives a fine vertical brushing that runs from the top of the watch to the bottom. It is then sloped downwards in an aggressive manner which allows this watch to feel like it naturally hugs the wrist. The brushing from the top also continues down here, maintaining the same quality. As for the side of the case, we find that the top brushing is broken up by a flat, polished chamfered edge that allows light to dance off of the case. The chamfer only runs along the top portion of the watch and not down the slope. Moving on from the chamfer is the case side, which receives a fine horizontal brushing. In contrast to the brushing found throughout the case, the bezel is rounded and fully polished. The quality of the polish is good, not outstanding or bad, just good enough for this level of watch. Tissot did a great job with the finishing of this watch, with most of it receiving fine brush finishing and hints of polish here and there to provide the right sparkle. Flip the watch over and we can clearly see where Tissot has cut costs. The back of the watch barely received any finishing at all, but it at least received a see-through window so you can admire the Powermatic 80 inside with a custom Tissot rotor. As for the crystal, Tissot gave this watch a sapphire crystal that is raised slightly off the bezel so it is not protected from bumps and drops. Not that you would be left with much if you drop a mechanical watch. The entire reflection on the crystal is quite poor as well, so for me the crystal on this watch is not up to par with its price. The crown is very nice on this watch. It is easy to grip and sticks out far enough for operations. The tip is sandblasted with the Tissot T emblem done in high polish. Operating it, as mentioned, is easy. The resting position allows you to wind the watch, the first allows you to change the date, and the last to change the time. So, here comes the dial. Apart from the disappointing color, the pattern and markers are actually beautifully done. The dial has a reverse waffle pattern where the squares are raised rather than sunken. The green color is very deep, appearing black at times and at the right angle gives off a subtle sunburst effect. The green color here is not the right hue for me. I feel like it doesn't match what was advertised, nor does it match the vibe of the watch. This watch is much better in person with a black or blue dial, because one is dark enough and the other is light enough. Not the in-between this gray hue is, and that makes the watch very dull. I think Tissot just released this watch in green to capture the hype and didn't give it enough thought. On to the furnitures. The hour and minute hands have a dual finish. There are stick style hands, the outer parts are polished, the inner section below the loom are brushed, the second hands is a needle style and fully polished. The markers are baton style and resemble a miniature version of the hour and minute hand. That is to say, they have a brush finish in the midsection and polish on the outer. The top portion of the marker have loom applied but barely. The 12-hour marker is done in a double baton style, making it stand out from the rest of the hour markers. The printings are done in pure white to match the loom and the date disc. Speaking of the date disc, it receives a 3-dimensional border that is a mixture between polished and sandblasted surfaces. Overall, the dial is very well done. I should have just bought the blue color though. Onto the dimension. This watch has a diameter of 40mm, a lug to lug of 44mm, a thickness of 40.8mm, and no luck width because this is an integrated bracelet design. Although we can expect multiple straps coming from Tissot in the near future. I'm eagerly waiting for the blue rubber version in hopes that it would lift up the watch just a little bit. The movement within this watch is a Powermatic 80 and it has an 80 power reserve just as the name suggests. It has 23 joules and beats at about 21,600 vibrations per hour. I love that Tissot put a custom rotor on this movement even though there is no other visible finishing in sight. I believe that both enthusiasts and regular watch buyer would appreciate this move. Onto the bracelet. Tissot again did a spectacular job on the bracelet. It feels like they really did design every aspect of this watch to be unique and to fit together as a whole, minus the movement of course. The bracelet receives a slightly less sophisticated brushing compared to the case, but again, much better than what you would find on any other watches under $700. There are strips of polishing in between links to allow for a bit of sparkle here and there. The clasp is done in a butterfly style that can open and close in any sequence. The inside is milled, and the last link on each side receives a laser etching of the word Tissot and 1853. On the wrist, this watch sits very comfortably, and the bracelet allows the watch to drape and conform to the shape of your wrist. The thickness also allows for the watch to sit very flat and always ready to fit under your shirt cuffs. Apart from the color, which is, of course, a personal preference, I have one gripe. It's the lack of scratch-resistant coating on this watch. Within a month, there are already multiple hairline scratches on this watch. It probably wouldn't show on video, but trust me, there is. And it's not just this watch. My Mid-Ocean Star and Longines Hydro Conquest also faces the same problem. I wish that the Swiss would do something similar to the Japanese. It would help keep our watches feeling as new as possible for as long as possible. Overall, I really like what Tissot have done here. I just damn wish that I had just bought the blue version. I highly encourage you to go check out and compare the colors in person. Don't be a fool like me and buy it online. Whichever color you like, it will not let you down because Tissot really outdid themselves and their competitors in this price range and maybe a little bit above. Stay tuned for my next video and don't forget to like, subscribe and share this review with your friends. Follow me on Instagram and see you next time. Peace.